In the final video in this Shitefest series this year is this lovely Montego Mayfair. See, it's got the silver mirror cappings. Sadly I won't be driving the bus because it's not yet legal. Give me a couple of years. It's a Mayfair and the chrome trim is literally hanging off. It is a fine machine. Let's go and have a nose inside. We're just getting ready to drive off. We're gonna have a nice merry convoy home. Straighten the steering. Do like a straight steering wheel. There we go. Let's jump in. Look at that. That's a dashboard I remember because the first car I drove after passing my test was my dad's Montego estate. That was only a 1.6 and this is a 2-litre EFI. We've got a barely legible clock there. We've got column stalks that do actually light up, and you can see it in the daytime. And we've got wipers that sadly aren't parking correctly on a Montego. They should park off the windscreen, but they're parking up there instead, which is slightly peculiar. We've got a sunroof. It's got the windy handle, so you can let the rain in. All mod cons. And I'm going to do a stint in this, and I think we're going. Right, excellent. Oh. Yeah, it's not getting the best. We've got to get down the farm track, but it's hilarious because we're following a bus down a farm track. And yeah, of all the silly things I've done, there's the ridiculous parking of the wipers in entirely the wrong place. This is an interesting one. But yeah, the Montego, if you come back to me a moment, the Montego was developed by, well, really British Leyland. It desperately needed new cars, and the Montego and Maestro were developed together and have a very similar structure. In fact, you can put the Montego front end on a Maestro if you so wish and create a Monstro. The design was never really the best. I think that's fair enough to say. And Roy Axe, who joined Austin Rover and styled the Rover 800 and the 200 and 400 as well, I think, was said to be horrified when he discovered just how awful the styling was and how little could be changed by the time he encountered them. Very unfortunate. I mean, it was difficult times. British Leyland had no money, and they'd had to beg the government, because it had been nationalised because it was so bad, beg development money, and basically there wasn't enough. It's all very sad really. But the Montego, well, the Maestro was launched first, I think, in '83, and then the Montego came along slightly later, available as a saloon or a very stylish estate. And my dad had a couple of Montegos, and I can just smell the same smells. It's the smells of my childhood. The bus is just struggling over some particularly bad sections. It is quite tight on this bit. All good fun, the things we do, eh? So, yeah, I mean, the Montego was a fleet favourite. It did become quite popular. The available engines were the 1.6 S series that Rover developed themselves, which I think had its origins in B series and kind of evolved from that, but was, yeah, you couldn't drop one in an MGB very easily. And or you could have the O series. No, it's the O series, the 2-litre engine. That's the one that was more a development of the B series engine. Struggling to remember all my facts here. Best thing to do is to head to AR Online. One of the best websites out there, and the bus struggling up this hill. Oh, back. The bus has got stuck. He's going to need a run at it. Keep going. This has never happened on one of my road tests before. I've never got stuck behind a bus. These wipers, what is going on with them? Ridiculous. Oh, I'm going to get out to look at this. This is just crazy. Go on, bus. You can do it, bus.
Oh, smell that. Oh, lovely smell.
It's the aroma of win.
Yeah.
Right, back to the road test. So now we are joined by the owner of this car because the bus has buggered off. So how many pounds did you pay for this fine automobile?
None.
That sounds like a good deal. Oh, the bus has stopped. The wipers are amazing. They just do weird things.
Stop wherever they like.
Yeah.
I'll bail back out and leave you to your
Right,
test.
you.
Are you travelling Montego?
Nope.
Travelling Olympian?
I'll try not to take it personally, but that's Andy who owns this fine Montego. And yeah, he had a Volvo S60 T5, which didn't owe him very much money, and he swapped it for a Montego. I might have the blind back. I like the natural light. The bus is smoking gently at the moment. I'm going to assume it's fine. But where were we? Yes, Montego. So it's S-Series or O-Series. In terms of engines, and then they did the Montego Turbo, and then they developed the Perkins Prima diesel engine, and turbo diesels were very well regarded. They actually sold quite well in France, so if you can sell a diesel in France, you must be doing pretty well, because the French know a thing or two about making diesels. But I mean, these are always quite comfortable cars. I'm going to shove the headrest back because they're adjustable, so you don't get on modern cars. And yeah, the feel really is just like the cars I remember. I mean, I learned to drive in a Vauxhall Corsa, so driving my dad's Montego for the first time, it felt like a blooming barge. It felt enormous. Whereas now, having recently driven an Oldsmobile Delta, it doesn't feel anywhere near as bad. I don't remember the clutch being this heavy in my dad's car, but it could still be the original clutch, 85,000 miles? 88,000 miles, so who knows. But I think we'll wait until we get to some actual road to do a bit more of the old methodology. So in terms of gear change, it's a bit loose and wobbly really, to be honest. Just let the bus get ahead of us a bit. Oh yeah, she pulls well, but we're not going to be able to do too many acceleration tests with the bus in front of us. It has a very classic British feel, where the build quality is not the best. There are trim rattles, and you know, gear lever's a bit baggy, and I think they were always a bit like that. But the ride and handling are nice. British engineers know how to do ride and handling, combine them well. So it's not that Montegos aren't thrilling cars to drive, but I really like them. It's the first time I've driven one with an engine bigger than 1.6 litres. So let the bus get ahead of it, and then we'll give it a bit of an acceleration test. Yeah, that's mid-range grunt is what you want, and that's really nice. I would happily drive one of these long distance. I'd certainly far rather drive one of these long distance than the Toyota Starlet, the car I abandoned in Glasgow this weekend because I could not face driving it any further. But don't let that put you off. It's a lovely car. It's not for driving more than 4 hours. So this is the Mayfair. So we've got very nice plush velour seats. You needed the Vanden Plas to get your leather, but we've still got wood inserts in the door. but looks slightly like they've just been added on and not designed in. We've got electric windows, electric mirrors, but sunroof is still manual, and power steering, of course. Got 60 go. Not very easy to do a 0 to 60 from a 90-degree junction. But one has to avoid crashing into a big yellow bus. And back to the peace and quiet and serenity. I even like the steering wheel on the Montego. I think it's just nice to hold. The thing I've always found odd, when the handbrake comes on, you get 3 warning lights. So there's no excuses for driving with your handbrake on. You have to plot your route very carefully when you're driving a double-decker bus. David, the driver of that, was out a few weeks ago just to check the route for height. But there you go. I'm going to follow this bus for some distance, I think to Dundee, where we're going to stop and have a bit of a change. But for now, that was the Austin Montego, a car which has had a bad time in the press, I think it's fair to say. Not very well regarded, but deserves a lot more credit. When you look at what Ford and Vauxhall were putting out, this is no worse. People go mad about Cavaliers and Sierras, but yeah, I'd rather have a Montego. I really would. Still hear the bus in front of me. I like we've got so much heritage on this convoy. We've got a Leyland Olympian in front of us, which has the indicator stalk out of an Austin Allegro, despite being made in 1990. I'm currently in the Montego and being followed by a Rover 416 GTI, which was the car that had the unenviable job of trying to replace the Montego, even though it was a smaller car. Behind that we've got a Renault Laguna. We'll just gloss over the Laguna, although it was useful for jump starting a Green Goddess fire engine this weekend. And at the back we've got a Triumph Acclaim, the first BL Honda partnership car, with the 416 behind me being the 3rd generation of that relationship. Yeah, the Montego, probably the last car developed by British Leyland, I guess. British Leyland gained its independence in... when did it gain its independence? Was it 84? Or was that Jaguar? Jaguar definitely did gain its independence in 84. I think it was 89 actually, but British Aerospace was kind of forced by the government to buy Rover. But the Montego was instrumental in saying, look, there is a company here worth purchasing. So, an important car, even if the wipers don't park correctly. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm sorry about the slightly loose format of the Shitefest series of road tests this year. I've just been trying to record footage as and when I can, when the possibility has arisen. But hey, maybe you like that sort of thing. So I shall go for now, and I shall see you in a future video. Farewell!